Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
asking questions. I think asking
Yeah.
questions is like critical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like this saying where like, ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, and you might get money. And
Mm-hmm.
I think like just asking questions, like people, especially like when I was in college or anytime you're in school, people are always willing to help you when you're a student and when you're coming from a place of asking questions. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say now, even as an adult, people are always willing to help you if you're asking questions and you're actually making an effort. And here's why I
Mm-hmm.
say that. Don't be that person who gets an opportunity to talk to someone important or someone you can get advice from or someone who can help you or just anybody in general. And you're asking the question that is like the obvious and I believe
Mm-hmm.
that that's why you have been able to achieve the things that you've been able to achieve in your life
Oh
because
yeah.
to much is given, much is expected, but also like remember the story of like, oh God, the talents. When God distributed the talents to the
Mm-hmm.
three different people, and
Mm-hmm.
one buried it, one
Right.
multiplied it, and it's like you can bury it and
Right.
not and it's safe, I guess. But if you don't use it, the way inflation works, it's depreciating. So
Right.
really you're just throwing away something God has given you because
Right.
you choose not to move forward because you're
Forward.
afraid. And
Right.
I'm just thinking there's just no story ever in life of someone accomplishing something and not being afraid. From so
Mm-hmm.
what month did you register your business?
I registered it in January.
Oh, so in January. Okay. So we're
It
coming
was
up on your
fully registered.
1 year anniversary.
I'm coming on my 1 year. And I feel like I still have so much more to go, but then I realized that I didn't know in January what December was going to look like. I
No.
had no idea that, starting the Ivy services was going to be a thing. I never had an Ivy service. I never had an Ivy trip. But then I started hearing more about it and realized,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know what? I would like to get something like that. Can I do that? Let me take a course. Let me get some classes, and let me find out. Okay, RNs could do that too. All right. Oh, RNs. Then I found out that RNs cannot have their own company. I had to partner with the doctor. That's okay. I'm gonna find the best doctor in this area.
That's
And I
gonna
said,
help
if
you.
you gonna partner with me, we both got to be on the same page. What are your, how are you gonna put out for our community? Are you gonna be in line with me so that we can now go into this community and say we're offering this service for those who really need it? And he was like, wow. He said, I guess he read all my resume
Yeah,
and
I
my
mean you're
CV
thorough,
stuff.
girl.
She understood the IV hydration models and passionate just as much as I am, because I wanted someone that's going to be able to really run with me as we be able to coordinate together.
Okay, so I love this story because what pops out to me is that you had a plan, right? You had an idea of a business. You went to start the
Mm-hmm.
business, and now you're like, okay, I need to bring in an additional revenue stream. I want to be able to provide more holistic services. And you realize that you didn't have the appropriate licensing or
Mm-hmm.
the appropriate, medical background, so to speak. Like they wanted you to have more. And instead of you saying like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to go find something else. Let me pack up my toys and go home. You
Mm-hmm.
actually was like, okay, how do I solve this problem?
Right.
That's the thing about being an entrepreneur. That's the thing about being an entrepreneur. That's the thing about being a leader. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
to be willing to solve problems. If
Right.
you're not in the business of solving problems, then you don't need to be in business.
At
Like
all.
that that's it. Like, because it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be one problem after the next. Something
Right.
that's a part of the deal. So like you're
It
not trying to
is.
leave that on the table to go
No.
start this business.
Not at all. But at the same time, those years are counting down. So I only have a few more years left. Why
Mhm.
not build this anyway? So whereas even on a part-time basis, on a smaller scale, so when I'm ready to walk away full-time, I already did the grunt work. This is the grunt work
Absolutely.
right now. This is the time where I'm not making a whole lot of money all this year, but then by next year, the revenue's coming in. The year after that, the revenue's coming in. When I walk away
Exactly.
from my job, I'm not 62 yet, so I still have to have a revenue
Girl,
stream
you ain't
coming
nowhere
in.
near 62 yet, and you look
No,
good.
I know. So only at 51, I'm like, you know what? I want to still be able to retire early, on time, and still have some revenue coming in on something that I'm going to get up every morning for. We get up every morning for somebody else.
Mm.
And
You know how, this is Store topic, but election just passed, and do you know how many people were saying like, "Oh, your ancestors died for your right to vote. Your ancestors died for your right to vote." Do you know how many of your ancestors died for your right to dream, for your right to have choices, for your right to learn? Like,
Right.
they died for that. There was a time in this country where African American people could not learn to read, could not learn to write, could not buy, could not sell. They were considered property. They could not, no, they can purchase, sorry. They could buy as a consumer, but you could not buy as a person to own something because you were considered property.
Right.
And so if you don't have any other reason to do it, just do it because your ancestors died for your right to do it. So last thing, what does build it anyway mean to you?
It's a lot. I love that term because it means to me personally that when you see those, those hard stops, those stumbling blocks, or those areas where someone's going to tell you no, there's always going to be a yes somewhere else. So so build it anyway because you know that in the long run, you can look back and say, you know what, I had those trials, I had those problems, but I did it anyway. I still tried it, and look at it now. And that's what I can't wait to be a year from today and say, wow, Brianna, look at what we did so far. Let's build, we built it anyway. When they told me I couldn't.